Welcome back, horticultural friends. It's a beautiful August morning, a little bit chilly. I'm slightly regretting my choice of just a t-shirt this morning, red t-shirt, but it's on theme because today I want to talk to you about red plants, red flowering plants for summer. Now, red is striking, it's confident, uncompromising. And for some people, they find it really challenging, but I actually think it's easier to use than something like white, for example, in the garden. And today I'm going to show you 5 of my favourite red plants for midsummer. So this is one of my favourite red flowering summer bulbs, and it's called Gladiolus papilio ruby. And I think it looks really good against these Rebecca Fulgidia Vardemii just starting to open. So this is a summer flowering bulb from South Africa. It's not how it is found in the wild. It's normally a lime green with that beautiful red ruby colour just on the outer tips of the petals, like lipstick. But somebody has either spotted a mutation or over many generations bred it to be completely ruby red, and it's absolutely stunning. So one thing about this plant is you mustn't let it self-seed. You can see this one's nearly going over, and if it does self-seed, it's likely that the young might be yellow or green, maybe a slightly different red, but it's never going to probably look as good as this. So resist the urge to let it self-seed, or if you do, so in a different spot, and just divide it up there's another clump just here. It does propagate quite well because it sends off lots of little tiny bulbils around the edges, which are identical to the parents because it's vegetatively propagated, and they will be the same colour. And you find once you get a decent clump, it will flower over a long period of time, so smaller ones will develop and get big enough to flower in size, as long as you keep watering and feeding them throughout the summer. So, in my opinion, it's much classier and daintier than the regular Gladioli, which is a bit over the top, although it has its place. A deeper, more mahogany red is this Helenium. Now, I've actually lost the name for this, but there's lots of different red Heleniums that look this colour. They just seem to vary in height. So there's Moorheim Beauty, Ruby Tuesday. I think this one is Red Army. I think there's one called Chelsea or something. I don't grow Moorheim Beauty because I find it gets the snails eating it a lot more than some of the other varieties. But this one is good. Now, you can see quite clearly on this that these orange ones, when they go orange, you want to deadhead them. And if you don't deadhead your Heleniums, they will stop flowering quite quickly. So this is a job I need to do today or tomorrow, even though this two-tone effect looks good. And you can always tell when a Helenium flower is on its way out because of the centres. So it's Asteraceae and it opens up in concentric whorls. So this flower's got quite a long way to go. That one's fully opened. That one hasn't opened at all yet. So don't be pruning off and that one hasn't opened either. So all of those will come off, and it should carry on flowering all the way into autumn. If I don't deadhead it, it will be done in 2 or 3 weeks, because the plant will basically have set seeded. It tells itself its job's done for the year. If you keep deadheading it, it will keep pushing out more and more flowers in an attempt to propagate itself. Now, who doesn't love a Crocosmia? I know the orange ones can be a bit invasive, but some of the red ones are fantastic. Now, Lucifer's very popular, but that's more of a scarlet orangey one with a yellow throat. But this one is called Hellfire, and it really is spectacular. It's completely red, and it's a lovely deep dark blood red. It really does. It really is. It's quite spectacular. It's not quite as big as Lucifer. It's a decent size, but it doesn't get to the heights of Lucifer, which I think is better in a way, because Lucifer takes up a lot of space and it doesn't flower for long. You can see this is going over, so it's more of a July flowerer, really. We're at the beginning of August now, so it's probably flowered for a month, but like all Crocosmias, they get rust in dry summers. As soon as they start to look bad and get rusty, you can just drop the whole thing down to the ground. As this is a cultivar, we don't want this to seed, because it will probably could be orange, or it could be a wishy-washy red. We only propagate these from divisions. This is your Lucifer. As you can see, it's more of an orangey scarlet, and it does have, you can actually see it, because it's going over, but it's got like a golden throat compared to your Hellfire. Another great red is this Persicaria Fat Domino. Now, I love Persicaria, there's all different types, but this one has the biggest, fattest, deepest reddish flowers that I know of. There are ones which are darker, like I think there's one called Blackfield, but this one it's really good, deep, sort of reddy, well, ruby pink, a bit like the Gladioli really, and the hoverflies love it, so it's great for pollinators. Starts flowering July, mid-July, end of July, all the way through to September. So just for comparison, this is Persicaria Fat Domino. And that's a regular Persicaria amplexicaulis. This is a golden form. I can't remember its name, but it's the flowers are a lot smaller, not as thick, not as impressive, and a bit wishy-washy compared to that one. So if you want a touch of exotic, Lobelia Tupa has got to be one worth a try. It's on the edge of hardiness, probably down to about -10. This is why it's grown against this brick wall here by my window. It will get a lot taller than this. It will get 6 foot if it gets enough moisture. It's got these beautiful red flowers, and you can see the long trumpety flowers, which gives you an indication of what the pollinator might be, which will be a hummingbird. This plant is from Chile, so it's known as devil's tobacco is the common name. Apparently, I've not tried it myself, but if you smoke it, it will give you some hallucinogenic effects. I wouldn't recommend it. Normally these hallucinogens are pretty poisonous, which is why why they make you hallucinate and stuff. But one the natives used to use if they fancy going on a trip. Another red plant that I bought this year, which I really like, is this Alstroemeria Summer Breeze. So it's one of the new Alstroemerias, and I just popped it in this little pot here, popped one in the front as well, and it's been flowering for 2 months straight. Now the secret to keeping Alstroemerias or Peruvian lilies to flowering a long time is do not deadhead. You pluck rather than deadhead. So you can see this one's gone to seed. I should have done this a few weeks ago. So you pluck it out like that. Another nursery grower told me that, and he said that he talked to a Alstroemeria breeder, and they said if you pluck them, they will keep flowering, whereas if you deadhead them, they won't. Red is a colour which people are quite afraid of using, and in terms of design tips, I would say avoid using it with whites. I mean, to me that's too jarring. It just doesn't work. Red also works really well. It's in a bit of a shady spot here, but it works really well in full sun. So as a good general design rule, you use dark colours in bright spaces, and things like this hydrangea, Annabelle, you'd use in a shadier spot or a darker corner, and it will really shine out. But that can be a bit too blinding in full sun. So use your dark colours in full sun. Try not to mix your reds with your whites. There are exceptions, so like the Gladio Papilio Ruby I showed you earlier, and the Persicaria will work quite well with this white because they've got a touch of pink in them. They're more of a ruby pink or a burgundy rather than a sort of bright postbox red like this Alstroemeria. Now I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Michael, in nature there's red and white all the time in meadows with poppies and oxeye daisies and things like that. But the big difference is in nature when you get these meadows with reds, whites, blues, yellows, colours you wouldn't mix normally in the garden, is that they're much smaller flowers and you've got a lot of green to break it up, and you can get away with all these different jarring colours together because they're just tiny suggestions of colour on a massive green canvas. But when it comes to our plants in the garden, they've been so overbred, they've got such big flowers, they really do look wrong, in my opinion. You know, it's all subjective, but yeah, I wouldn't do it if I were you. Of course, you can have red in the forms of foliage, so things like this Imperata cylindrica red baron is grass from Japan, and its tips are these beautiful red. Now it does like a damp spot, and it doesn't get a lot taller than this really, about sort of knee height as its absolute max. But I've actually seen this work really well around the bases of silver birch, which again is breaking my little rule of red and white, but again this does have that pinky purpley tinge to the red, so it does actually look quite good. This stunner is called Canna Tropicana Red. This year its leaves are quite purpley, not almost black, and its flowers are more of a scarlet red. But last year they were like a deep dark blood red, so you'll have to take my word for this. But I think perhaps it's been drying out. It was grown in more shade last year, but I don't, Canna should be able to take plenty of sun, but I think it's been drying out in the pot. And this often happens with plants, as if they dry out, the colour can fade a little bit. And I suspect if I sit this in a dish of water, the next lot of flowers that come out over here will be a much darker red. But yeah, anyway, it's a great Canna, lovely purple leaves, and these bright red flowers. I've done this one as a Brucey bonus because you do have to protect it. It goes in my cold greenhouse in there. I'll literally just push it under the benches, chop back the leaves when they start to go a bit manky, and not water it from September till about April. And that's all it is. That's all I do. So to sum up, don't be afraid of using red. Go bold. Use plenty of it. Use it in a sunny spot, and you can't go wrong. Preferably not laying white, but there are some exceptions. I hope you found this video interesting, and I've inspired you to grow one of the plants I mentioned. Please like and subscribe. Look after yourself. Ciao, ciao for now.